as you all know, we have recently completed that chapter, reproduction in plants, right? In reproduction in plants, we have studied the different types of modes of reproduction, like in asexual reproduction and in sexual reproduction. So today we are going to discuss about the mind map related to all the topics which we have done. Okay, so we are starting with the chapter that is reproduction in plants. So if you remember, in reproduction in plants, we have studied about different things, like mainly we divided the chapter into two categories. One is sexual and another is asexual reproduction. So one is asexual, right? And another is sexual, right? Now what is sexual and asexual mode of reproduction? One is sexual and asexual mode of reproduction. We know that asexual के अंदर क्या था? Production of new plants without the involvement of gametes. Without the involvement of gametes. Right? This is asexual reproduction. Then sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, what we have done? The involvement of gametes growth. Involvement of gametes. Right? Involvement of gametes. Okay. Now in asexual reproduction, we have studied about the different modes of reproduction, different types of reproduction. What are these? We are going to discuss about one by one. So what were these? Let's start. First is fragmentation. Right? Fragmentation takes place in spiral. What happens in fragmentation? Breaking a plant body into two or more parts. Breaking into two or more parts. Like in standing water, we see the spirogyra, the algae, right, which converts into parts, different parts. That is known as fragmentation. Fragmentation means parts. Fragments means part, and fragmentation is process in which it is breaking down. Okay. Then we studied about one more, that is spore formation. Okay, spore formation takes place in mosses and ferns. Example: mosses and ferns, in which the spores are there and then they burst and then they travel from one place to another, and wherever they fall, then they regenerate or they grow into the new individual. That is spore formation. Right? So here we can say new plants from spores. That is known as spore formation. Okay. Now the third one is very important, vegetative propagation. As from its name, it's very clear. Vegetative propagation means when the plants are grown vegetative part से grow करते then we call it vegetative propagation. But it can be done in two ways. One is artificial, one is natural. So artificially के अंदर what are the different types and naturally के अंदर what are the different types? Let's discuss out. So if I talk about naturally, first of all, let us discuss out which occurs naturally. So in naturally we can discuss out one is tubal that takes place in potato. I am writing the example of the plant in which this process is used, right? Then bulb. Bulb example is onion. Right. Then third is rhizome. This is given in the NCERT book also. Rhizome. Example is ginger. Then last is cove. Example is gladiolus. Right? So these are the natural way by which potato can be produced from tuber, onion can be the bulb of the plant, and ginger from the rhizome and all. Now what are the artificial? Artificials के अंदर we have different things. Grown artificial. So what are the different methods in artificial? One is cutting, then layering, grafting and tissue culture. Then we have layering, right? Then we have grafting. I will explain all this term one by one. Then we have tissue culture. Tissue culture. Now what is there in cutting and that? So cutting means simple rows. How we grow the rows with the help of cutting, right? Stem को हम cut कर सकते हैं and then we can grow. And what about in layering? Layering by bending down the branches in moist soil. Layering के अंदर क्या करते हैं? When plant is grown, so उसकी branches को we can just bend it down and bury it in the soil, and then from that point only it will start generating. Okay. Then grafting. Grafting के अंदर by stumping the stems of two plants. Grafting का the stem and stalk. Right. We are using this. Like one plant part is this and another is this. So इन दोनों को combine करके then cover it and then we can use it. That is grafting. Now what is tissue culture? Tissue culture is by growing tiny piece of tissue in nutrient medium. So we are collecting some tiny components of the plant and tissue and then we grow it in the nutrient medium. So we are providing the nutrients artificially from outside. Then they grow up and then we use these plants to grow the new one. That is vegetative propagation. Okay. Now this vegetative propagation have advantages as well as disadvantages. First of all, let's discuss advantages. Advantages के अंदर we know that they take less time. Okay, because directly we are using exact copy of parent plant, right? And also we know that the seedless plants can be grown, needs less care in starting. Like if we are using or growing the plants with the help of seeds, then they will be requiring more care, right? We have to be very particular for their watering and all that. But if we are using this vegetative propagation, they will be needing less care at the start. We can easily grow them. Okay. Now, there are disadvantages. We can mention here disadvantages. Right? What are these disadvantages? For disadvantages, we can say one is vegetative propagation. The parts I am talking about, they cannot be stored. Cannot be stored. Okay. And another is they are unable to adapt in changing environment. Unable to adapt. And one very important, disease also. Disease transfer from parent. Like the parent plant which you are using for growing, if that plant is suffering from some disease, then that disease will definitely be transferred to the daughter plant. Why? Because we are using the vegetative part. If we are using the seeds, then there are very less chances that the disease will be transferred. But when we are using vegetative propagation, there are 101% chances that the disease will be passed on. Okay. Now, we have sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, we will study about that what is there in sexual reproduction. Right? For sexual reproduction, let's start with. For sexual reproduction, we have done the pollination. Here is the mechanism. Mechanism involves pollination, right? Transfer of one part to another. But what is there in sexual reproduction? What is there in plant? We can say that sexual occurs in flowering plant. Where does it occur? It occurs in flowering plants. Now, what are these flowering plants? Flowering plants can be of two types we have already done. One is sexual, unisexual, and another is bisexual. So, what are unisexual and bisexual? First of all, we will discuss about flowering plants. They will have flower, right? And if they will have flower, then they will have male part and female part, right? Male part and female part. In male part and female part, what we have? In male parts, we have stamen, right? And stamen further having one is anther, another is filament. Right? And in female part, we have pistil. Right? And then pistil is having three other parts. One is stigma, one is style, and third is ovary. Right? So these are the three different parts: stigma, style, and ovary. Okay. Now flowering plants are of two types. If you remember, one is unisexual and another is bisexual. Unisexual means which have only one gamete, whether it's a male or female, and bisexual means which will have both gametes. That is unisexual and bisexual. Okay. Then After this, we have another mechanism involved. That is another mechanism involved that is called fertilization. Right? Fertilization. That is fusion of male and female gamete is known as fertilization. And here pollination is also two types. One is self, another is cross. Self pollination means when the same flower is considered, or when the fertilization occurs in the same flower, and cross pollination means when the another flower is used. Now in fertilization, male and female gametes are fused. Right? Fertilization के अंदर we get two things. You can use the different color here. That is leads to two we have, that is fruits and seeds. Right? So this is all which we have done in this chapter, starting from the sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction we have done fragmentation, spore formation, even one budding is also we have done vegetative propagation. Then we have the advantages as well as disadvantages of vegetative propagation. Then we studied about the artificial and natural vegetative propagation. Then we studied about the sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction then the mechanism involves pollination, and on the other side fertilization. Fertilization leads to formation of fruits and seeds which are further used for the reproduction. And in pollination, pollination takes place in the flowering plant. Flowering plants are of two types, unisexual or bisexual, right? And there are male and female gametes present in the flowering plants. Male gamete is stamen, female gamete is pistil. They are having the further parts. Then they fuse together, which is known as the fertilization. And then this pollination can also take place with the help of wind, water and animals. We know that, right? The stigma of the pollen grains can be transferred from one place to another with the help of wind, water and animals. We have already discussed about the different kind of plants which are used or which are transferred by wind, which are transferred by water and which are transferred by animals. So dear children, I hope this video is going to help you out to revise the chapter and to understand the basic terms of this chapter which we have done. Thank you so much.